My wonderful, beautiful, amazing Libras. I'm Gabriella from Gabriella's Vampire Tarot. For today, I'm going to be doing a general reading of past, present, future, 9 card spread. I'm going to be using the regular tarot deck, clarified with the vampire deck, draw a special vampire card, draw a vampire oracle, then draw 3 yes or no answers for thee. So let's get started on your reading. Okay. The general card is the 9 of Wands reversed. Let's look at the first row, which is also your past. You start off with 4 of Pentacles reversed, 3 of Cups, okay, and King of Pentacles, okay. Yeah, what I'm kind of getting here is, it's like, there's something that was really worth celebrating in the past, like maybe, some kind of promotion, maybe acknowledgement of some kind, maybe, you got, accepted into like a college or, this career or field and stuff like that. But the thing is, it's like with the 4 of Pentacles reversed, it's kind of like feeling a bit uneasy, a bit imbalanced about this whole grand, celebratory, financial stability, whatever it was that pretty much took place in your past. But, it's kind of common, when you're actually, heading towards like a grand acknowledgement, a celebratory occasion, anything, sometimes it can make one feel a bit uneasy. And the reason is, it could be, well, various reasons, of course, but one of them could be, it's like, sometimes you just feel like, you don't deserve it. Some humans have that kind of, feeling where they pretty much just think, well, I really don't feel like it was meant, to be or something. Or sometimes, you're kind of worried to think, well, but what's actually, around a corner, because the thing is some humans, when they actually, get something, worth, celebrating, like whether it's a promotion of some kind or a new job or position, whatever it is, some humans, tend to feel a bit uneasy, because they could feel like, oh goodness, a bit too modest also, if that label would even apply in your life for that reason, where you just think, oh no, I really just can't, handle that right now or something. But eventually, you did celebrate something and you got whatever you wanted. I mean, it could have been like maybe a wish fulfillment of some kind, maybe a really good, promotion, really good salary for that reason, or maybe, any kind of like, celebratory occasion with an earth sign of Taurus, Capricorn, Virgo. But either way, it's like, I mean, this could have been, maybe a birthday with a Taurus, for example, because, we're currently in Gemini season, and the well, zodiac before Gemini is Taurus, so that could have also been the case. But let's look at current and then future, and especially clarification. Okay, in current times, you have the Ace of Wands reversed, World upright, okay, and 8 of Wands, okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of getting, it's like maybe you did get some kind of job or something and you felt a bit uneasy because technically, the 8 of Wands is kind of like traveling. It's kind of like having to get out of your comfort zone, or maybe you have to like, it will be some kind of commuter of some kind. But either way, maybe that's why it kind of made you feel a bit unsettled in the past, or maybe you had to kind of relocate, for this job, or either way. But yeah, it's like with the Ace of Wands reversed, it's kind of like having no motivation, no determination, no inspiration, because normally with the Ace of Wands, which is similar to the Star card, it's kind of like waving your magic wand and just hoping, but when you put your time and energy into something, that suddenly, will, something, will, take place, or, your wish will come true and stuff like that. With the World upright, it's kind of like a fixed sign of Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, and Aquarius. So either, unless, any of those signs mean anything to you, but it just also shows that, you're in a very, fixed, mindset, and you're actually going to be traveling somewhere. Huh. Okay. Well, let's look at the future. You start off with 2 of Wands, it kind of also a traveling journey kind of card. Star card, what are the odds? Yet you get the Page of Swords, one of your beautiful cards, kind of in reversed. Okay. When these types of cards kind of come in reverse, it can mean, you could have maybe no, a bit of self-doubt about yourself, kind of lack of faith, but it could also be that you don't really feel prepared in the future. But the thing is I do love that you are heading towards, the star wish fulfillment of whatever it was, because, it's like the Ace of Wands reversed. Maybe, that's where you actually had hoped that your star wish fulfillment would commence. But, in current times, maybe sometimes these moments kind of take a bit longer, because it will probably take place sometime in the future. And again, I can't say when or how, of course. And that's kind of what I see. And maybe, you know, it's like you kind of feel like, you know, there's hesitation or doubt in the future as well. But we're going to have to do some clarification, you know, based off of, you know, this whole combination. Because for the Four of Pentacles reverse, you got the Queen of Skulls. So the thing is, you know, you were probably offered some kind of career, some kind of like real good stable contract in the past of whatever it was, because, you know, the counterpart of the King of Pentacles is also in the same row. Okay, well, you know, it's like, and that's the thing is, you know, sometimes, you know, when you're being offered something, you know, a lot of humans, you know, they kind of will tend to lean towards the, you know, just, yeah, a bit of caution of thinking, you know, it's like, I'm not so sure if I really want to accept this. You know, it looks promising. It looks stable. It looks, you know, like, you know, well, there's really, you know, going to be no, you know, recession or cutbacks in this career and stuff like that. But yet, you know, something was kind of holding you back. Well, on one positive note, you know, it did take place in the past, so hopefully it's not resonating for you in current times for that matter, though I'm kind of a bit worried about the Ace of Wands reverse, but we're going to get to that real soon. Because for the Three of Cups, Ace of Cups, yes, this was like a new beginning of abundance. So now you're, or you know, you were actually celebrating this beautiful, abundant offering of whatever it was, or yeah, most likely some kind of really good career, you know, probably some kind of promotion, upgrade, you know, a better salary, you know, paycheck, whatever humans, you know, need in current times for that matter. But yeah, that's kind of what I saw in the past. And of course, you know, it's like when you're actually being offered something, you know, yeah, leaning towards, you know, hesitation and a bit of like, you know, it's like, because, you know, that's kind of like the negotiation kind of phase, you know, when you're actually, you know, striking deals or something, you know, you want to get as much information out of the whole, you know, contract or interview as possible for that matter, because you want to know exactly what you're getting yourself into instead of just thinking, okay, I'm just going to close my eyes and see what happens, right? No. So, but you know, there's something definitely worth celebrating. So I'm just so honored to be giving you this reading, because for the King of Pentacles, Two of Skulls, and Two of Skulls, it's not really per se hesitation, as it more or less is that you're, you know, well, yeah, juggling responsibilities and obligations in one session. Okay, you know, I mean, maybe you have a family and now you have a job, you know, and now you're pretty much, or you were actually already, you know, juggling, you know, different types of responsibilities. Okay, you know, I think that's pretty good, you know, for many humans in modern times, you know, because back, you know, and you know, where I, you know, pretty much grew up, and there was, you know, hardly any kind of yeah, juggling for that matter. I mean, you know, it's like everybody always had their, you know, own, you know, their own, you know, positions and stuff like that. But regarding juggling, I mean, I'm not really all too sure. I was probably too young to realize what was actually going on, to be honest. But I do love the fact that you are pretty much, you know, in a really good, stable position, you know, regarding, you know, your obligations and responsibilities. So, good. Ace of Wands, Two of Swords. Okay, so this is where, you know, the transition or the change is kind of more or less taking place, because, you know, the thing is maybe, you know, regarding this job offering of whatever, you know, happened in the past and stuff like that, I can understand how you pretty much have no motivation, because you're pretty much in the phase of actually having to make a decision, you know, of either, you know, maybe you have to relocate, maybe you have to, you know, will make a decision based off of, you know, any kind of, you know, future careers and stuff like that. I mean, the thing is you do get the world, and I see traveling. And then, but yet, you know, somehow, you know, this kind of wish fulfillment probably seemed, you know, beautiful and promising, because, you know, when you're being presented with something like a gift, you know, well, for that matter, everybody, you know, it's all just, oh, great, I'm actually, you know, receiving something, you know, it's like, you know, well, for me, like a bouquet of flowers or roses for that matter. But, the thing is, you know, eventually, you know, then suddenly, you know, the doubt or the hesitation slowly starts kicking in, and this is kind of where you are pretty much in the phase of having to make a decision on what you personally want, because I do sense this in the future, but we're going to get to that real soon. But yeah, any kind of decision, you want to make sure it's what you personally want and not what is expected of you in any way, because this is your personal life. You know, if you pretty much just have this hesitation, this self-doubt, lack of faith, whatever, anything that's pretty much holding you back because of your gut instinct, that you're pretty much just saying, you know, I really need to look into this on a you know, on a closer, you know, note for that matter, because the thing is if any, you know, sensation that kind of comes across as negative for you, you know, where you just think, I'm not so sure about that, you know, there's just something that's really holding you back, and you might really want to look into that. Because regarding the world, Ten of Pentacles. Okay, well, here's confidence. I mean, abundance. I mean, the thing is, you know, it's like if you do decide to pursue with this one goal of getting out into the world upright, which is great, but it also leads to Ten of Pentacles, happy home, happy earth, happy family, including abundance. But it's also happy home, happy hearth, you know, within your body, you know, confidence within yourself that you think, okay, you know, I know which way I'm heading towards because you know what you personally are, you know, you're justice, you're Libra, you know, you're the balancing scales. You want to make sure that all systems go. You don't want to make sure that one, you know, scale is heavier than the other, right? But yeah, I do see you actually finally, you know, deciding a really good, you know, career or path, at least for your, you know, for this reading, because for the Eight of Wands, Four of Wands. I'm not allowed to show Four of Wands, but the thing is I just see you heading to more confidence or more home, or maybe, you know, what you're kind of doing is, you know, you could also be retreating back to home base for that matter, in the sense of this thinking, maybe you have to rethink, you know, some things. Maybe you have to ask your family, your friends, whoever, you know, is close to you, or who you trust at least, you know, to be, you know, helping you in this, you know, guidance towards, you know, which, you know, decision you have to make and stuff like that. But it could definitely also mean that you're heading towards more confidence as well. Happy home, happy earth, happy family, and you're pretty much heading out into this world as well. Great. Because for Two of Wands in the future, Lord of Skulls, King of Pentacles. Okay, you already got, you know, the first King of Pentacles in the past. Now I see more abundance, more stability. You know, it's like you're really getting out into this world. You're putting in a lot of time and effort, but it's also important, you know, with any kind of decision, you know, that you pretty much choose wisely. But it looks like that you're doing an excellent job in this reading. So I'm actually not all too worried, you know, anymore regarding this reading for you. So I see you just heading out, you know, to this world. You know, you're traveling. Maybe you have to travel abroad. Maybe you have to, you know, travel to another city or state, country, wherever you're pretty much heading towards. Or maybe you have to, you know, do a bit of commuting, or maybe you have to, I don't know. I mean, but either way, I do see you heading towards more stability and abundance. Star wish fulfillment. Magician. Ooh, Aquarius, Gemini, and Virgo energy. Okay, I see you actually manifesting your star wish fulfillment, which I think is very important and good. So the thing is, you know, it's like, but whenever you're about to, yeah, manifest, create something, is you want to make sure that everything is in an organized state. You know, when you're about to, you know, prepare a meal or any kind of like a, you know, or, you know, a beverage for that matter, is you want to make sure that you have all the ingredients, you know, for this beautiful wish fulfillment of some kind. Because if there's any kind of hesitation, any kind of like, you know, lack of preparation for that matter, you know, if you're about to go on a journey, but then you know, will forget, you know, like your passports or your travel documents or something, you know, at home, and you're already halfway, you know, down towards the airport or towards wherever you're heading towards, and then you just think, my goodness, I should have actually, you know, thought this clearer for that matter. But I do see you manifesting this very beautiful wish fulfillment. So congratulations on whatever this wish fulfillment is going to be, because I really think it's going to work out for you. Because even though you might have gotten the Page of Swords reversed, you know what you get is a Daughter of Scepters, a Page of Wands in the future. So what I see here is, you know, this is where, you know, you could have a bit of hesitation, you know, when you're actually manifesting something, but it's always good to double check, you know, any kind of like voyage, quest, career, path, you know, plan for that matter. So this is where you're pretty much heading out, but you want to actually, you know, make sure when you're manifesting something that, you know, you have all the ingredients, you have all of the necessities, all the requirements, everything that you need, instead of that you just think, well, I feel unprepared, but yet I'm just going to go out into this world, right? But, you know, that's just only my suggestion from the Vampire to to Libra, and that's in this reading. Okay, let's see what the special Vampire card has. Oof, Death. Well, this is actually one of the cards I pulled for the Vampire, who literally ended my, you know, or actually gave me more of a rebirthing card, because this is actually more or less a rebirthing card. Because what I actually see here is, you know, it's like you're actually going through your own personal transition, and this personal transition is that you're actually heading out into this world, probably regarding, you know, this new career, this new job, this new life of yours and stuff like that. And maybe, you know, you felt a bit, you know, hesitant, you know, at first about thinking, you know, if I go through this transition phase, am I still, you know, going to be the same, you know, Libra? You're always going to be the same Libra. I'm always going to be the same, you know, Gabriella, even if I have my mortal, you know, mindset, but the vampire body is always just going to be Gabriella. So So I wouldn't, ever worry about losing your own, your own identity, your own self for that matter. But if you are going through a rebirthing phase, you just want to make sure that everything is just going to work out for you, and not just that you think, okay, everything, I have like all the ingredients here, except I don't have the proper, utensils for that matter, And so that would just only be my suggestion for you. Let's see what Vampire Oracle has. The call of the night, daring, adventure, and excitement. So I see you heading out with the Eight of Wands. Yep, and I just see you pretty much just, getting out into this world, and being incredibly excited and adventurous. The thing is that, I personally never really got the chance to actually see this world, I mean, I did sort of travel somewhat, but the thing is did I ever get to do it just for leisure moments? Not really. I had to find opportunity. But of course, it's like with anything, with any kind of adventure, it's always good to have a goal in mind, to know where you're heading towards. But anyway, I just see that you're incredibly daring, just by actually, overcoming all of your self-doubt and hesitations, and you're pretty much, going on this beautiful adventure towards the future. Love it. Okay, I'm going to finish off with 3 yes or no answers. Please feel free to pause this video and think about the questions you want to answer, because for number 1, you get a yes with the Knight of Wands. Speak of justice, definite yes for number 2. And 7 of Swords reversed is another yes. So you get 3 yeses in this reading. Okay, well, all my beautiful, amazing Libras, I'm going to have to leave it at that. But if this reading resonated for you, please feel free to join and subscribe to my channel. Love you guys so very much. Thank you so much for your love and devotion towards my channel. I love you guys incredibly. In a few days, I'm going back to love readings, so for now, I'm just doing general love. But I'm also open for personal readings. All you have to do is subscribe to the channel, post in the little discussion box below that you want a personal reading from me, and I'll respond to you with my email. But pretty soon, I'm going to be updating my website, website, whatever it is, that the human and I are more or less creating now, so I can put down my price list for any personal readings. But anyway, thank you so much. I love you guys incredibly, and best of luck on where this journey may take you.